I never realized how long that song is until I'm just sitting here waiting for it to end rather than running around like a headless chicken trying to get the stream ready. Hello everyone. How are we all doing today? I hope we're well. Hi Tundra. I hope your allergies clear up soon. Ah. Want to know auditory processing hell? Is having to listen to the intro music and then also listen to the Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York music, which is a slightly different type of rock song, and you're just sitting here like, this is hell. Also, I realized something, because this happened when I was playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Obviously, I have this whole aesthetic thing, right, for vampire games. Yeah. Every time I do it though, it's day. Like, it's very clearly day, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. Which is a bit annoying, but oh well. Is what it is, you know? Is what it is. Anyway. Time to probably play some more vampire game. How was everybody's weekend? I hope it was good. What did I get up to over the weekend? Fuck all, really. Fuck all. Recovered from my scam. Got into my water bottle. But that's all in the past now, and we're going to play some... Hi, Chorus! Play some vampire games. Which is ironically all about being stuck in the past, because that's what vampires are inherently about. Let's turn the volume back up. So, when we last left off, and the VOD for this will be going up on the YouTube channel after this stream, VOD for part 1 and part 2, this part, we, actually, when we last left off, I deleted my save, but I got us back there. So, when we last left off, we had gone to, after being dumped by our girlfriend, we had gone to a nightclub, hit it up with a local woman, went back to some skeevy motel, and was turned into a vampire. You know, like you do. Actually, I joke, but that is the exact same intro as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. From there, we were rescued by the sheriff, and brought towards the prince, where another vampire stepped in to stay our execution, and we have been gradually learning our abilities throughout the night. We've proven our value a bit more to the prince by bringing a anarch vampire, one of the rival factions, to her, and now we are building a coterie of our own. We have met the Malkavian hacker computer person who puts on fake vampire snuff shows for the voices in her head. There's no other way to say that. And now we're seeing who else we can recruit to our coterie. So we have the Magic Boy, Agathon, I don't know why I'm looking over here. The screen's in front of me. A mysterious summons. A Nosferatu detective. And a feral vampire. I'm thinking we go Magic Boy first. Everyone feel good with Magic Boy? I just realized my camera's in the wrong place, isn't it? We discovered that last stream where I had to come down here. And you guys had to go up here. Alright, let's play. Oh, and I need to kill Kofi and Adric, don't I? There we go. Alright, let's play. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie. I did voices for all these characters, and I cannot remember what any of them sounded like, so no points for consistency. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they're infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtaposition doesn't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific that's literally, like, if you were to describe my religious evolution, that's it. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet of the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn around the displays and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinged music seeping through the crackling speakers mounted above the entrance. It's more quaint than what you would expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems awfully confused, like you just woke her. She lets out a yawn, stretching out her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lips curve into an awkward smile. Got anything on vampires? Nice place you got here. Got anything on vampires? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you to the second story. You instantly notice a change in decor as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon became overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Ailing Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Skye, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise it would have been quite unpleasant. I heard you talk to the girl downstairs. The line about vampires was a nice touch. Now tell me, other than casually breaking the Masquerade, is there anything else you're interested in? Hiding above an occult bookstore? Really? I realise you're still new to this whole thing, so I'll take this as useful ignorance and not some misguided attempt at sarcasm. The darkest place is under the candlestick. You've seen the display. Tell me it's not the last place you'd look for an actual mystic. Fair argument. Now, not that I don't enjoy schooling clueless neonates, but may I ask what you're here for? Sophie mentioned Agathon to me. Sophie suggested I should meet Agathon. She said he's quite knowledgeable. Did she know? Aileen looks you up and down. Her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. That's new. Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aileen. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor. Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Let me introduce myself. My name's Skye, and I've been told you might be interested in teaming up? Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aileen. Hi, Regent. May I ask your advice on this? She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. Actually, my child, I would consider giving this one a chance to prove their worth. Oh. She addresses you. I'm trying to understand why Langley took an interest in you, Skye, and I might have caught a glimpse of her reasoning. I think you may be an aid to Agathon in his current task. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation about what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aileen a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns to you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. What is this accent I'm using? While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea of where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. Who's the missing person? A single glance at Aileen is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. You can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. Oh, I missed like half a sentence. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Aileen a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Skye, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches as you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south. Heading to the Lower East Side, Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So where are we going? Williamsburg. There's a place there our missing colleague frequented. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York. You seek me out specifically? Why? Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. You were on it. I see. Once more he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closed for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. We're location scouting. For a movie. We'll just take a quick look around and we're gone. No, I'm sorry, we're not interested in being featured in a movie. I'll have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith & Wolseley or the 21 Club. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course, not a problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow. Lots of old expensive looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usually sombre facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Whoever's Juno is, it looks like she's no longer here. A flash of fury sparks in his eyes. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes that deep, red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach-churning, but right now, you're weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheaths the knives and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little concerning, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly, and thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let him do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly and the manager leans in. You tense up for a second, but he gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance. And you seem capable enough. I can do more, you know. Can you now? I guess we'll find out. Next time. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts. Hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on the offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Oh, well that was easy. That one was remarkably simple, wasn't it? Normally it's much more complicated. Ugh. Sorry, I'm just opening the Twitch creator dashboard. I wonder how far we are through this game, because it feels like we're just beginning the second act. Where to next, chat? I'm going to let you decide on this one. We have the vampire detective, the feral lady, the mysterious summons, or Hope could do with some more help. But I'd rather do one of these three first. Detective. Okay. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stopped in to take a familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame, once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank. Forgotten. Abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large, empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. Can I just say how amazingly wrote this game is? I'm not sure how many of you in chat play tabletop RPGs, but this feels like a DM, like a GM, a game master talking to you. Like, it feels like a Vampire the Masquerade game. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine? Most likely an office space, and then you see it. A faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. It looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with a crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and papers scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly, it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder, the barrel of a gun rubs against your spine, a raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess, took a wrong turn at the third silo? Driven by a strange hunch, you open your mouth. You hear yourself talking, but the words are not yours. They seem to be coming from the deepest recesses of your memory. A movie you saw as a child. You don't know why, but it seems oddly appropriate. I know what you're thinking. This punk ain't got nothing on me. I'm sitting pretty on a loaded cult detective special. 5 in the cylinder, 1 in the chamber, and I only need the 1. As corny as it sounds, the stranger seems oddly receptive to your tough guy monologue, so you decide to bump it up a notch. Focusing your will, you boost your aura, filling the room with your presence. Your voice becomes smooth, oozing with charisma, a regular Sam Spade. You yourself can't help but feel a sense of awe. Hopefully the stranger feels it too. But then there's this nagging feeling. What if there's more to this guy than he lets on? What if he's got me right where he wants me? Maybe I should hear what he has to say. Is that right? Yeah. So how about we drop the tough guy act and talk like adults? You can always shoot me once we're done. For a few tense seconds, the room grows quiet. So quiet, in fact, you could swear you can hear the smoke swirling in the air. Finally, the stranger speaks again.
You got a point there, kid.
In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind the desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described them, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity. But this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you.
So, what brings you to my humble office?
The Red Hook murders?
Yeah, that nasty business. What's it got to do with me?
A lot, if you ask Kadir. His expression sours.
Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the streets, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Name's D'Angelo, gin to my friends, so you can call me D'Angelo. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however,
isn't going so well, so let me help. He gives you a look that's dirty even by Nosferatu standards.
Well, ain't you clever?
D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then, he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced. A lot. In front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue.
Sure, they seem to care. What was the endgame? What was their angle? Everyone's got one, even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town's finally got to me.
He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth.
Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered.
Are you narrating? For a second, he looks at you like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Then a wire smile comes back to his lips. He lights up.
Tell you what, kid. I ain't sold yet, but I can see you got some potential. So here's how it's gonna be.
I hope you all like my D'Angelo voice.
I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want. I could use an assistant. Someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows, if you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement.
What are we waiting for?
Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who is it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for?
Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile.
So you're the one, huh? The fledgling Toreador Dame Spade. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing a name around. Thanks for being up front, kid.
I do like it, but I'm worried about your throat if you have to do it for a lot. I'm a voice actor. Like, I used to do this all the time. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving.
Alright, moonlight's burning, let's get cracking.
With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way to West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Also, it's why we have the Skydration. Ah! My audience. My good friends, you know me so well. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There's definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alley. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place.
Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him, drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there are any bite marks. So, what can you tell me?
You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. They don't actually do this, by the way. Curiously, there doesn't seem to be any trace of blood or viscera. And you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast, or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall that reads, "Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere.
Good eye, kid. It's the details that count. And given that the murder was committed right here and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that
the killer was a kindred.
Bingo! Only a kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly. But not just any kindred. Take a look at that graffiti. What do you think it means?
It seems desperate.
My thoughts exactly. It's as if someone wanted to get a message across, but was too scared to stick around and write the whole damn book, so we got the abridged version. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to?
Thin Bloods. D'Angelo smiles approvingly.
In bright neon letters, a full-fledged kindred would use his powers to lure the victim somewhere out of sight, and then they certainly wouldn't stick around for a shitty art project.
He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar.
Shit, looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit.
The Thin Blood Primogen? How do I know all this?
No, Larson the bicycle repairman. Of course the Thin Blood fucking Primogen. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we're doing him a favor. If it turns out he's violating the one of his is violating the Masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward position. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other Primogens would love to exploit. His position in the council is as bad as it is.
Wait, don't I know Larson? He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile.
Alright, kid. Let's get this over with.
Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite a change of scenery. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It's almost like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come.
This is the place.
With that, he points to the surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire.
Okay, kid. We gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rang, my lord, gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss and letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on raid night. Trust me, I know.
Sounds like you two have some history.
Sounds about right, but that's a story for another time. Right now, let's stick to why we're here. Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you'd handle it.
You take a step back and look around the area. The lit-up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention. His, and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you're suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. I need to feed, look at my blood. As you turn towards the man with the dog, D'Angelo gives you a worried look.
Kid?
Shushing him with a gesture, you plunged into the shadows and crouched behind a well-trimmed hedge. True to his word, D'Angelo follows your lead, though he doesn't seem too happy about it.
You better not be thinking what I think you're thinking.
You tense up, waiting for the man to get closer. When he does, you spring from the darkness, grabbing both of his arms and sinking your teeth into his neck. His blood gushes into your mouth, thick with surprise and laced with just enough fear. It's all so quick, and yet so sublime. The man goes limp, his best friend does not. The dog goes off on a barking spree that would make a dead man cover his ears. You tear away from your victim, ready to let the beast loose on the hateless canine. D'Angelo, however, is quickly to curtail your murderous appetite. The detective approaches the animal, looking it straight in the eyes. He mumbles something under his breath, an oddly melodic whisper. Mesmerized by the chant, the dog grows quiet and lays on his back, allowing D'Angelo to pat its belly. Suddenly, you notice lights turning on in some of the houses. D'Angelo gives you an angry look and points to the unconscious man in your arms.
Get him out of sight, now!
Heeding his advice, you hoist the man over your shoulder and carry him to the nearest bush. Just as you're getting up, a very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck approaches D'Angelo. He doesn't seem very happy to see him. Are you fucking insane? I mean, I know you are, but this is nuts even by your standard, D'Angelo. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Hey Larson, sorry about the fuss, but we needed to get your attention. By feeding right next to my house? What the hell is wrong with you? Get the hell out of here! Relax, I didn't bleed him dry, unlike your friend at Red Hook. Is that supposed to mean anything to me? D'Angelo, what's going on here?
It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible.
Bullshit. A Duskborn's got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade?
Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together.
Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching, trying to find a scapegoat. Get in your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me.
What if it turns out one of yours did it and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that?
He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is.
Deal.
Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's murmurings seem to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticement somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you.
Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I could sure use a drink. Something warm in a tall, sweaty glass. But first...
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Let me tally your score. Let's see now. You made a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet at my office.
He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back to you.
And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one.
Bedtime. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. Well, those 2 nights were nice. I had freedom, initiative. Good while it lasted, I guess. He smiles apologetically. Don't shoot the messenger. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thought as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave. Disappear. Let Sophie find someone else to employ. But then you remember the Anarch thug being cut down by Kadir and how close you were to the same fate. Not even a week ago. And that it must still happen if you step out of line. Might still happen. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present. Her eyes are locked onto the paintings in her room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant but warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Skye. Thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They're encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that, just a handful of nights ago, would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Skye? Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He's old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than that of his other clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more on Kaiser? He's been here a long time, as long as I have. He's gotten into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both Anarchs and Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night, and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting. Clearly she is done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head towards Coney Island. It takes you about part of an hour to reach the lights and sound of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant for the time of night. Thank God for Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a travelling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out on the right approach. Search for signs of Kaiser. There are plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents this area, there has to be some kind of clue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any sign that a Nosferatu, or any vampire, has had their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back towards the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way. Wearing an oversized jacket, he's the air of a junkie or a dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? You lost? Maybe. Maybe not. What's it to you? What kind of answer is that? You a spook? A fed? He looks at you intently, like he's trying to guess your real purpose here. Get out of here before I kick your ass. Chill, I'm just looking for a guy. Drives around in a black limo, stops here sometimes. Ring any bells? No idea what you're yapping about. He's a terrible liar, clearly full of shit. Listen, I was sent here by Sophie Langley. She has something for Kaiser. I need to contact him and hand it over. Nothing more to it. Don't know her, and I told you already, I don't know who Kaiser is either. He sees the doubt in your face. Fuck. We never mentioned Kaiser. Stay right here. He produces his phone. It's a fancy model. It doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. Unlocks it, dials a number. 2 tones go, a voice on the other end. Sorry to bother you again, boss. Yeah, I know how much you need your alone time. That sounds very nice. There's somebody here who wants to see you. They're with Langley? Sophie Langley, yeah. A string of loud obscenities fill the phone. The man winces and pushes it away from his ear, and then the call stops. Almost immediately, a chime. The Count's laugh from Sesame Street? Wow, announces a new message sent to the phone. Huh. He's on his way. Don't go anywhere. Not 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens, an invitation. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of gory torture sessions. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise, and then realise nobody's there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that appropriates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined, all sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. The door closes behind you. Oh, he doesn't look that bad. So, the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you, huh? You've got something for me? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He pulls it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access it. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address, she can give me something else. Come on, give me a break. How could we have known you'd already seen this material? He gives you a patronizing look. Kid, you're new here, so I'll pretend I didn't hear that. You want your address? You're gonna have to work for it. I have just the idea. Yeah, something appropriate for an eager fledgling like yourself. More on that soon. Stay tuned. Now get the fuck out. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque window slides past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to the car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Okay, we can go see some other people now. I suppose we should go see Jezebel. Right? Would that be our next port of call, do you think, chat? Or do we seek out our mysterious summons? Jezebel it is. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the places you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the Northwest Gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkempt foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of any kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's source fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly placed, most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Seek out the Gangrel Haven. You head south, delving deeper into the less frequented sections of the park. Passing a babbling stream, you make your way into the ravine. Home to some of the oldest trees in the park, it's the place to go where you want to get away from the crowd and enjoy some one-on-one time with nature. And that's during the day. At night, it's bound to be a gangrel's delight. Making your way through the brush, you come across a rocky crevice hidden behind a wobbly chain-link fence. You leap over the fence in a single bound, trying to land as quietly as kindredly possible. Kindredly possible. The crevice looks deep enough for you to think twice about jumping in. Instead, you peer into the darkness below, listening intently. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swirls like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as a five-fingered shaped razor cuts through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic. Alright, but he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Way to assume gender, Skye. You're better than that. You're better than that! Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadow emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over, calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest.
Stay out of it, Tam. I smelled them first.
That's a fucking look. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back to you.
You shouldn't have come here, pretty boy. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necklace.
Tamaka looks at you expectantly. So you can bark. Let's see your bite. Alright, boy, let's see if your bite is as bad as your bark. Clearly taken aback, he looks over at Tamaka, as if gauging her reaction. What are you looking at her for? I thought you were the big bad wolf. A barely visible smile creeps up on Tamaka's lips. The man's eyes narrow, although you can't really see it. You could bet the hair on the back of his neck just stood up.
Shut your fucking mouth, pretty boy.
You really think I'm pretty?
You should have run when you had the chance.
A fierce growl echoes across the alley, stopping a savage in his tracks. Tamaka walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging at its ear, as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. That's also a look. It's okay, Raoul. I'll handle it from here. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. I will say, and this is one of the issues of Vampire the Masquerade, I don't like that the beastly animal vampires are both people of colour. Then he turns back towards you.
You want to waste time on this asshole, Tam? Be my guest.
Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows, although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamaka turns to you once more. What do you want? I'm new here and I'm looking for a chance to leave my mark. Maybe shake things up in the process. I could use your help. Why me? My sources claim you're capable. Are they wrong? No, I guess not. But if you're so well informed, you should know that I don't whore myself out for mercenary work. I'm not hiring you. I'm offering you my help should you ever need it. In time, perhaps also my friendship. Do I strike you as someone who needs friends? Yeah, you do actually. For the first time tonight, she seems caught off guard. You decide to press the advantage. I know what happened to your sire, and I know how your people got shafted, but I'm not here to screw anyone over. I just want to make my own way. So what do you say? For a brief moment, she stands there, motionless, looking straight into your eyes, as if trying to size you up. Finally, she looks away. It looks like she's come to a decision. Just so that we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, you have that earnest look about you. Naive, almost. I can tell you believe what you're saying. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamaka disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. Does anyone else see the wolf in the tree line, by the way? Like, Oh, you can't see my cursor. Does anyone else see the wolf shape? The tree kind of like directly behind, well, not directly behind the text. Directly above the light kind of looks like a wolf. You're walking down the street towards your haven. You're walking down. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passers-by going about their business. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred of many enemies. And all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. And other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker or a kindred thrall trailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car ordinary cops or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt this. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone's tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun's coming up soon and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. As you wake from your slumber, you notice, and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing in the corner looking straight at you. It's Skye Blacke, whom you met recently. Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. His hands are outside of his pockets and he seems pretty relaxed. He's keeping his eyes on the street, though, as if making sure you're alone. He smiles awkwardly when you approach. Evening. Got something for you from our mutual friend. He produces a crumbled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, and give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might just be a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, Time to square your debts with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro. When they tell you they don't have it, say that you are Fidel Salvador de Familia G. Those exact fucking words. And make sure you get the G, right? You'll get a bottle. Just take it and leave it by saying grazie. Don't ask how much it is or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie boy here and let him know. You done? Memorize the shit and hand it over. What's with all this cloak and dagger nonsense? That's how the boss likes it. And who am I to argue? I just do what he says. You're about done with the letter? You note the phrases and addresses mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ash with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here and I'll tell you where to go next. I'll be in the alley over there, so find me when you have the item, whatever it is. I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care. So I don't. See you later. He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night. But curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall, filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair, occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slicked, combed back hair. He's reading a newspaper, but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup, and then gets back to his broadsheet. Good evening. How can I help you? Be direct. I would like a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negoromo, please. Let me check our stock. She seems to be looking through a database on the laptop, sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment. Sorry. Recite the phrase. Ah, in that case, Let me see if we have any in the back. Wait here, please. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the door at the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt. He's watching you. About a minute passes. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every second. The door to the back of the store opens and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. "Excuse me, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it." She offers the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. "You do know what this is, don't you?" You focus your blood and immediately see both of the people in the shop focus intently on you and what you're about to say. "I know exactly what this is, and I'm the right person to give it to." The woman gives you the bottle without hesitation. "Grazie." Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from when you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. "Got the goods?" "Sure do." "Cool. Stand by. Gonna make the call." He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between the two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. "Hey boss. Yeah, they have it. Thank you, Jackie, for getting my pronouns correctly." "Oh shit. Where do I point them to?" "Okay. Yeah. I'll tell him to go there right away." He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. "Willets Point. Half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around." With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You have to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. Oh, so it's like where I live. You stop your car once you realise that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step into one of the gashes in the asphalt, splashing in the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place seems pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. Wait. You stay near your car and decide to wait for Kaiser to be on his way. Or if he's not and is instead playing one of his games, you're not participating. You've got what he wants. Let him come to you. The bright light of a car pulling over down the road some 10 minutes later catches your attention. It's a black limo. Kaiser's finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car door opens but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser's visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. "So, you pulled it off without a hitch then? Give it here." You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. "Yeah, that's the stuff. See, that wasn't so hard. Consider your debt paid. Oh yeah, and also take this. It's what Langley wanted." He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. "Thank you, Mr. Kaiser." Yeah. I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything from you. How about that? Time for you to get out now." He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back onto the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh and you realise Sophie has guests over. He's the man from Elysium, the one with the glasses and the good taste in suits. You didn't have the chance to talk to him last you saw him.
"Ah, Skye, so good to see you. Tell me, did the two of you previously meet?"
The man doesn't wait for an answer. He approaches you with an energetic, almost dance-like step and puts out his hand.
"Thomas Artuno. I've heard about you. Pleasure." "Thomas is a great source of gossip and an excellent conversationalist. I also have the prince's ear, which is the primary reason dear Miss Langley wishes to speak to me tonight. Good gossip, even coming from me, isn't nearly as valued." Sad. Sophie's taken aback by the man's direct comment, but smiles politely.
The awkward atmosphere is broken by the guest's grating laugh. "They kid, of course, they kid. Well, I was about to leave anyway, so I'll leave you two to it. Good night, Sophie. Skye. Greggy boy." Sophie's drive opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of his hand towards his host and you. The door closes. "He's quite the character, isn't he?" "Yes, quite. But he has his uses. Thomas's clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowest primogen. It is useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you've been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for?" "Yes, I have it, but the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job before he'd give me the card." She retrieves the envelope from you. "I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience." "You got a servant named Jackie. He was a pain to deal with." "I hear all his ghouls are like that. The apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem." She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw in Kaiser's note from before, but you can't see the details. Her eyes widen. "Yes. Excellent. I need to call in some favours. I'll likely be busy the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear charge. I will contact you soon." With that, Sophie ushers you outside, and you are left to do with the rest of this night's hours as you like. Oh, we have a bunch of contacts. So, we can either do the Someone's Watching Us, I think, or the Faith and Mystery. This might be a good time to mention, guys, that if you are enjoying the stream and are not following, consider giving a follow. And if you are following, then you can help out by reblogging, retweeting, or just promoting in any such way. Bring your friends. Bring your enemies. Bring your friends' enemies. Bring your enemies' friends. Someone's watching us. Someone's following you. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is what to do about it. Provoke the stalker to appear. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. It's raining outside as you step onto the street in front of your haven. You wonder whether that'll help you. Were you able to see the footprints of your stalker and puddles on the ground? Not sure where to start, you slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. Both of them talk your ear off about strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you. Walking the street, you're convinced by turns that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you, and that your stalker has decided to take the night off. Frustrated after a couple of hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you, and there's no time to brake or swerve as you suddenly step in front of him. For a split second, your eyes meet those of a man on the bike, and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushing you forward. You tumble, flying to the sidewalk as the courier zooms past you. You feel a weight on your back. You catch a glimpse of something. A person. Female, you think. And then she disappears. You could spend a couple more hours trying to find the woman who's been stalking you, but in your shriveled undead heart you know it to be futile. She's gone. You haven't been to a church since you became a vampire. Or kindred, as the euphemism goes. You had to focus on concrete, practical things like survival and feeding. You've learned the essentials of the vampire experience, but you don't really have a clear idea of what it all means. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine is a New York landmark. You've been inside once before when you were much younger. You marvelled at its Gothic facade. Looking at it now from across the street, it feels ominous. The prospect of an anonymous invitation to a secret meeting is a worrying one, but the venue is well chosen. It's hard to imagine a violent attack in a place like this, with eyes everywhere. You enter the cathedral discreetly. You've quickly learned that this is an essential skill for a vampire, how to move without anyone noticing you. The full force of the cathedral's architecture hits you as you walk between the pews. If the architect meant to create the feeling of being small in the face of God's glory, mission accomplished. Based on the note, you're assuming that whoever you're meeting is somewhere in the front. And you step closer to the high altar, it feels as if something is dragging at your feet, as if the stone beneath you resisted your movement. It's been a long time since you prayed. You wonder whether God listens to creatures like you. Fatalistically, you take a step, then another. You're not sure if your God is present in this cathedral, but perhaps it doesn't matter. What you feel is real enough. There's an old man sitting in the front. You see only the back of his head, bowed down in silent prayer. Your footsteps echo on the floor and he turns to look at you. You can't take your eyes off him. He's tall, dignified, white hair, balding, a few strands escaping to the side. He's wearing glasses and a simple clerical clothing. His eyes are warm and pale, too kind for someone like you. Something's wrong. You feel heavy, as if a giant hand were pressing you down. The skin on your face is burning. Perhaps unconsciously you expected something like this. A vampire walking into a cathedral. Only it's not the building or God making you feel like you're burning alive. It's the man, the priest. Welcome, my child. The priest's tone is kind, but the rising panic inside tells you that kindness is not for the likes of you. Run. The man's looking straight into your soul. You turn and run the way you came, stumbling out of the cathedral. You emerge outside, confused and scared. What was that? At least you escaped unharmed. You stand on the sidewalk, confused and scared. No enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow. The night's air is wet with the smell of the city, the same as every night. How did it feel? You look at the man speaking to you. He's well dressed, if a little archaic, dark-haired, handsome, like a character from an old movie. He smiles as if he knows something you don't. You glance around. There's people on the street. You don't seem to be in immediate danger. Why does it hurt so much? That's the question I wanted to talk to you about. Hey, Bruno Mars. Let me introduce myself. My name is Benoit Seagull. We share many things in common, even if you don't know me. Benoit offers his hands to you. You shake hands. His handshake is firm and dry. He looks at you intently, as if trying to find something in your eyes. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment? He points to a park bench nearby. In darkness, because of a broken streetlight. Warily, you decide to follow him. Only an enemy totally unconcerned with the masquerade would attack you here. He sits down and follows suit, and you follow suit. For a moment, you both contemplate the cathedral in silence. I know how it feels, what you just felt. I have experienced it myself, many times. For a moment, you consider how to respond. It's clear he sent the invitation to come here and orchestrated this little setup. I'm thinking of hitting you in the face. Do I have a reason not to? You'll have to decide that for yourself. Let's talk a while, and if you still feel violent, I'll let you take a punch at me. I wanted you to meet Father Anthony, or see him, experience him. Do you wonder why it felt like that? At first I thought it was because I was in a church, but I realized it came from him, the priest. I think you're right. It does come from him. It's his faith that makes you feel like that. He's safe in his belief while you are the one damned. Do you ever wonder what the role of a vampire is in God's creation? You stop to think. Of course you've wondered what this is all about. Whether it's about God or nature, you don't really know what being a vampire means. That's the trouble with the Masquerade. A human faced with a human problem can go online and find something that helps. You can't. The Masquerade means that everything is hidden. Secret. You're left relying on the unreliable opinions of people like Benoit. Suddenly, he takes your hand and passes it against his cheek. He stares into your eyes. You feel his heart stop. My heart no longer beats, yet I move. I talk. Is that how God intended us to be? Let go of my hand, you asshole. Benoit lets go of your hand and you quickly withdraw it. You're asking yourself these same questions. You know you are. This is very homoerotic. Sometimes I'm skeptical too, but in Father Anthony's presence I know faith is real. I know it because it hurts so much. But perhaps you have a question about faith and our kind. Perhaps we are divine and not damned. Benoit laughs, and for the first time the aura of bitterness enveloping him lifts. You're clever. There are many religious cults amongst the kindred, even more amongst the anarchs. Some of them do indeed believe we are divine. We die, we rise again, just like Jesus. Be careful with that kind of talk, though. You might not know it, but there's always politics attached to every belief. Go into an Elysium, declare your divinity, and everyone around you will make assumptions about you. Sometimes faith is best kept private, even amongst our kind. Faith is always best kept private. Just ask yourself, when you meet Father Anthony, did you feel divine? Did I come here just to talk about religion? I know it's overwhelming. It was for me when I first met Father Anthony. I know there are others like him, whose faith shines like a beacon. Priests, old ladies, children, anyone can have that conviction within them. This is too much. You expect me to go along with all this insanity? Benoit nods patiently. Let's meet again in a few nights, here at the cathedral. We can talk more after you've thought it through. You leave him sitting in the shadows of the cathedral, contemplating what lies within. It would be easier to ignore his words without the reality of what you've experienced. Father Anthony was holy. You know it to be true. But what does that mean? Okay, so we have a couple different quests. That was quite a nice little story there. You know? But that was quite homoerotic as well. Not only was it a nice little story, it was kind of horny. Let's go help out Hope. No, let's deal with this sniveling... No, let's help out Hope. When you get to the internet cafe, Hope is already waiting out front. Religion can be horny. Yeah. The sight catches you off guard, as part of you suspected she might be more of a shut-in. My haven is my castle type. Perfect timing. We need to go for a ride. Get in, get in. She doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring expectantly, causing everyone's head to turn. Not wanting to attract needless attention, you quickly slip into the back seat of the car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching. Auto 100 real quick. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, this is NYC. Everyone's always in a rush, and this is even more true when you're kindred. Bus... At bussy work. Now allow me to take care of some business and I'll be right with you. Even as she's zooming through traffic, she's still on her phone, of course. Nice car. How'd you afford it? Vroom vroom beep beep. Thank you. The lavender really does bring out its character, doesn't it? At bussy work. about affording things in this city. It's pretty hard. You gotta be at the top of your game at all times. Might as well explain my business plan to you while I'm at it. Discuss BTC. So, another extremely online malk based in New York goes by the name of Dev/Null told me to Google Ethereum. She's into fucking crypto? Idiot man-children investors trying to shape their reality through sheer financial zeal and dedicated collectors of things abstract as rare SHA-256 decryptions. Her driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you, or does she peek into the rearview mirror more often than she looks straight ahead? A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value, only abstract belief matters, and your life savings can be ruined by a single bullshit tweet? Okay. She's into crypto for the right reasons, in which that she knows it's complete bullshit and she manipulates the market. I started buying low and selling high on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allow me with 100 times leverage. As in, they lend me 100 times the capital I could bet with. I got lucky at the beginning and kept the ball rolling. Shorting and longing, impulsively, recklessly, I got to the point where I became too big to fail, and that's when I cashed out. The car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump against the seat in front of you. Okay, the story will be continued later. We're here, right at our first stop, also 100 to 0. I'll need you to do me a favour. First stop, young, hot, petite, ingenuine. Yeah, I need to run a few errands tonight. This one's as simple as it gets. See that weird guy in a Yankees cap standing around? Approach him, tell him you're young, hot, petite, and genuine, and take the phone he gives you and bring it here. Go get going, honey. It's illegal to park here. You jump out of the car and approach the man, Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he seems pretty shady. The guy assumes a comically threatening pose as you approach him. The hell do you want? I'm at young, hot, and petite. Oh. No offense, but I kind of expected a girl. I'm my bad for assuming. He takes a phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you. Everything's been prepared and preloaded according to your instructions. It should take about 2 minutes to transfer the data. Now get out of here. The man walks away with an exaggerated hip-hop gait. You jump back into Hope's car. She immediately steps on the gas. You got the phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please. She connects the two smartphones using a cable and begins some sort of data transfer. Looks like an identical model. After a minute or so, the process is complete. Alright, goodbye, lovely. You've served me well. Hope opens the car window. Grabs her old phone. You're not expert enough to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had an $800 price slapped on it, and tosses it out the window. Surprised, you look behind you and see a car in the opposite lane run over the abandoned device. She notices your quizzical look. Off the grid lifestyle. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately, and I'm not going to use some cheap piece of shit, so it's a pretty expensive necessity. Intersection. Red light. She takes advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle is at Versailles Beauty. Now, I was telling you a story. Cashing out? Right. At some point towards the end of 2017, I became convinced I needed to cash out. There's no way this bubble was going to last forever. I always knew there would be no grapes of wrath for the cryptocurrency era. It would have to be a series of profoundly antisocial, disconnected events. The whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of lone millennials who rejected all established modern values and kept atoning for the original sin of not buying Bitcoin back in 2013. I mean, honestly, she's not entirely wrong. Another abrupt last-second turn. You are pressed against the window. What the hell is with her driving style? Also, guys, remember, if you have a clip, throw it in the Discord and the chat. Helps me see what's going on. Better life you never wanted to live anyway and get a chance to win a priceless pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all worldly desire. Find such joy in Suicidal ideation? To this day, money holds no real value for me. It's an abstract as a video game score, a bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. At Wealth Haver. So I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new area. Elite New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them and make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. I mean, of course I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something more than a star. A constellation. Another abrupt stop. This time to an entrance of a shifty-looking back alley. Leaky gut syndrome. Alright, friend, this is time your leaky gut syndrome. Whistleblower extraordinaire. Whenever a press sneak fuck wants a leak, you've got it. Got it? Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people as a last resort. I guess how to protect my identity each time I show my face. And since I've got you, our man is waiting for you in the back alley. He's paying me back a favor with a flash drive containing crucial information we need to stay safe in the city. Retrieve it. I will circle the area. Make sure we aren't in danger now. When you're done, get back here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good. You exit the car and see its driver drive away in a hurry. Then you head into a narrow passage. Sure enough, there's a man there waiting for you at the end of the back street. Unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes with a nervous eye tick. He looks even dodgier than the last guy. When you approach, he gives you a mean look. You lost or something? I'm leaky gut syndrome. You said you got something that might interest me? Of course. Straight to the point, aren't you? Alright then. Clumsily, he produces a USB stick from his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his hand back and gives you a sly grin. Getting all this data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery is an unusually secretive person. Digging up dirt on her took more effort than I expected. Effort that should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask about her, the more you expect a letter saying, give up your inquiries, which are completely useless, at your doorstep. Perhaps attached to a severed cat head. You catch my drift? The secrecy around her screams, friends in high places, brave new world order, Illuminati shit, you know? Makes me think I deserve some hazard pay. You try and imagine what Hope would do if she were in your place, then you simply turn and start walking away. Calmless, wordless, no negotiations. Just as you're about to walk out of his sight, you hear an annoyed grunt behind you. Alright, I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. My bad, okay? Get back here. You turn around and look at the journalist expectantly. He sighs and extends his hand holding the flash drive towards you. You take it. Oh, and one more thing. Not really sure what it's about, but one of my informants claim you might be interested in this. He reaches in his inner jacket pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labelled simply as ABRH-. You take a closer look, but that doesn't answer any of your questions that just appear in your mind. You peek into his cold blue eyes and see them twitch uncomfortably. Don't ask me. They said you'll know what to do with it. Leaky gut? Come on, take it. Gotta protect the Masquerade. Keep it. I have no idea who that informant is, but they've been feeding you bullshit, buddy. Yeah, I don't think so. Another eye twitch and awkward silence. You give the blood bag one last glance and leave the alley the way you came. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk onto the street. Doesn't even fully stop when you approach, but slows down enough for you to jump in. The moment you close the door, she leans into the gas pedal with her full strength, causing the engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems as a person. Yeah, gotta protect the Masquerade, guys. We got it? You throw the flash drive onto the seat next to her. Perfect. Any problems? Have the meeting go. You relate the entire encounter and look back to her. Towards the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road or her phone, but directly at you. The realization startles you. Bloody Mary and Adderall. You've got that bag of blood with you? Left it with him. Felt fishy somehow. Huh. Anything particular about it? Nothing, just a label saying ABRH-. She steps on the brakes. Fuck! I'm okay. She grabs the flash drive you've obtained and throws it out the window. Looks like that's her favourite method of taking care of problems. That bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found in less than 1% of the United States population. I had a friend with AB negative blood type. Glad you didn't drink it. Who knows what they've done to the bag. Some NYC vets can tell you wild stories about using irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred. Seriously? Glad I didn't drink from him. Better safe than sorry. Yeah. Still, I wonder if they would have done anything to the blood. To his blood. That would be some kind of 5-dimensional chess move. But yeah, this contact's compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist frenemy, and goodbye, dear leaky gut syndrome. You've both outlived your usefulness. After a brief period of hesitation, she deletes the whistleblower extraordinaire account and sighs. Another one bites the dust. I've got another story to finish. We're talking about Bitcoin. And then where did I stop? The NYC elite? Oh, right. You know who saw the real face of this city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? A Russian working class girl born as Anna Sorkin. She moved to New York in 2013 and convinced everyone that she was this insanely rich trust fund kid. A wealthy German heiress. Manhattan's elite totally fell for it, and they bought it for years while she swindled them. She only got arrested in 2017 after having stolen almost $300,000. Sorkin created her Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone that she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of her life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. She even made up a fake family, financial advisor, then killed him off when he became a liability. Apparently most of her rich victims never admitted to being scammed out of shame. I think I listened to this on Cheat, which is a great podcast that everyone should listen to, and I'm not sponsored, but, you know, if you guys want to, Cheat, sponsor me. I'll do a promo. By now, you're sure the way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving. She's trying to escape somebody. Now Delvey's locked up with murderers and Rikers, writing her memoirs, apparently picking a lot of fights. Bless her heart, she'll forever be an inspiration. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old financial advisor. A whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get in touch with to collaborate makes it super easy to earn more money than I invest. You've seen it firsthand, both as deceiver and the deceived. It's a city of illusions. Make non-existent money, come up with fictional status, play nonsensical camarilla games. And one day you might just find yourself at the top. Alright, we're reaching our last stop. You look around. You're coming to a parking garage. Devil Woman Doctor. You're going to take an elevator to the 70th floor. Give the masked man you meet in front of the doorway this memory card. It contains a art house movie I've made. By art house, you mean vampire movie? Yes, a movie you've seen me rehearse in my haven. You didn't think I was just doing all that for show, did you? I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who'll pay a fortune for a convincing vampire cam show. I don't need money, but the IT industry connections gave me an idea. When we give them the memory card, we'll gain access to tech that should allow us to take on my biggest enemy in the city. So your nickname this time is going to be a Crash. You're momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. The first thing you know for sure, if you were still a normal human being, you'd be dead. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed into Hope's vehicle at maximum speed. It was able to achieve this in a closed-off space. At the maximum speed it was able to achieve in this closed-off space. The driver had only managed to kick open the mangled door next to him and stumble out of his seat. Now, he wordlessly approaches the trunk and takes a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. He stares. He starts approaching the lavender wreck of the Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job that he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him. Your instincts take over. The world stops moving just as you start running. He can see you, of course, but not as well as a well-defined shape. It's a blur, and its speed is faster than his aim. It gets close to him. He's scared. It's next to him. He's terrified. A series of superhumanly swift punches rupture his body in all sorts of horrifying ways. His world briefly turns into an ocean of agony and then disappears forever. You stand above the gunman's body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. That's when you hear her voice. Same but unironically. Ugh. Hope slithers out her car and sees you standing over your assailant. Huh? You did pretty good. She approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look at it. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, she lets out an annoyed grunt. Knew it'd be this asshole. He's been following us all day, and I know just who he belongs to. Even before she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually she succeeds. We see a nonchalant woman in a business casual on her smartphone screen. Kara Montgomery, how may I help you? Kara. Hope. Didn't expect you'd ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, did something happen? Did something happen? Your fucking ghoul just tried to kill me! You crazy bitch, that's what fucking happened. Calm yourself for Christ's sakes. This is a baseless accusation. I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working at your motherfucking company. Come on. You know I can't be held responsible for the independent action of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it over? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Kara from contacting her. You corporate shithead. You make me sick. Tired, she turns her gaze to the dead ghoul. I'll dispose of him. Help me put him in the car. 30 seconds later, his body's laying on the back seat of the lavender-coloured wreck. Okay, good. You take a look at the scene of the carnage in front of you. Every second we're here gets us closest to a serious Masquerade violation. I'll have to exchange my Pomme d'Or masterpiece for the goods some other time. She gets behind the wheel and you follow her inside the car. Meet me in my haven when I tell you it's safe. For now I need to dump this asshole somewhere, get my car fixed, and plan our counter. You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off and before she leaves, she makes what's about to come perfectly clear. If you want to survive in this city, Kara Montgomery needs to die. She disappears into traffic and you disappear into your place. Whew. Things are getting intense. I do need to take a bit of a break from speaking. Speaking real quick, so we're just gonna enjoy a moment of silence and I'm gonna run an ad. Okay, chat? Although, if you're a sub, which most people are who follow me, there will be no ads, so I have to keep speaking anyway. Ah. Oh yeah, I hope you guys like the pun titles, by the way. That might become a frequent thing, because it's always difficult to come up with titles for streams. I don't have the advantage of having an easily punnable name myself, so gotta come up with my own thing, you know? And of course, guys, if you like what I'm doing, consider following me on social media, joining the Skye Blacke Discord, or even giving me a support over on Ko-fi. You can do that with !social, Discord, and tip. This is why I need a stream deck. Thank you for the resub, Chorus. That's a 14th month streak. Thank you for giving some of Bezos' money over to me. It really does help, and I really appreciate it. Okay, let's rest for the night. Kadir Al-Assami, Asmai, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd expect to see him already inside, or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening? May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you curiously stay by the door. Haven't really had the time to make this place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through, a secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the book on the shelf, obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner aside from their aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. And if you want to be taken seriously as an intellectual, you should read Hunger Pangs. There's my sponsor. I'm looking forward to that audiobook coming out. It might become my new gym book. Because I listen to books when I'm at the gym. I don't listen to like music or podcasts or anything. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The Phonomenology of Spirit, next to all of this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. This the kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you'll probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colours. You sense a familiar fight or flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Kadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you. Spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. The endless car ride. 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, the blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire. A frightening executioner who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, huh? There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of his attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that obviously remains to be a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters, and politician monsters in denial. All sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with the prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back. Maybe for a good reason, but immediately call for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or, like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone but constantly lied to about everyone's past and motivations, even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice. A voice belonging to someone who once held bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than the who done it or the how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course, the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job harder, just like conspiracies between two unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's back for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall, a boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? You're surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. And what are your motivations? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Kadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of New York City community, and as long as you're part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who's he talking about? Someone from my coterie? Kadir shakes his head. I'm monitoring them and they know it. If they're breaking the rules, they're doing it the right way, meaning I haven't learned about it yet. Unless you might want to share something? A moment of awkward silence. Joking. Mostly. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Oh, fuck. Jessica Lowell, the woman who made the last few years of your life heaven and the last few weeks a living hell. Since you took pretty much everyone you know with her after the split, you thought the transition to this life would be painless. No baggage at all. Have you thought wrong? You look at Kadir, expecting answers. There are some unfortunate rumours that you committed suicide after a messy breakup. So apparently Miss Jessica here is desperately mobilising everyone she knows to look for you. Turns out she's contacted a lot of people who might recognise you, including some in the law enforcement agencies. Bye, Tundra! The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existence, which means she has to be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow so you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind, they used to hold dear. Their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. I think he said something like, have you got any other ideas? Oh, fuck, it skips. For a long time, you sit in your haven, lost in thought, remembering how you once thought the world had ended with her leaving, whining. Sure, but it seems like it was a persistent whining. Okay, so that's what we missed. Okay, I think we have time for one last thing. So what do we want to do? We have everyone available. I'm feeling detective-y. You make your way through the now familiar rusted maze of the grain terminal up to the stairs to D'Angelo's office. This time, however, you find the room firmly locked. There's a note pinned to the door. You rip it off and scan the crooked lettering. There's been another one at the scene now. Come to Bed's corner of Pulaski and Garvey, ASAP. Looks like D'Angelo could use your help. Better get going. As you approach the address D'Angelo gave you, a squad car passes you by, sirens blaring. Following it, you make a turn from DeKalb Avenue onto Pulaski Street. Sure enough, the street is awash with red lights, and 4 or so police cars parked in the nearest corner, next to an ambulance, confirm that you're in the right place. You move closer to what appears to be the New York's finest convention, looking around in some hopes of spotting a familiar, if not altogether pleasant face. No such luck. True to his Nosferatu lineage, D'Angelo is nowhere to be seen. You step on the sidewalk across the street, trying not to draw attention to yourself. All of a sudden, one of the cops standing by the entrance of the building looks right at you. He does a double take, and you instinctively look away. Bad move, you think to yourself as you notice him making his way towards you. Calmly wait for him to approach. Not allowing panic to set in, you stand your ground, doing your best ordinary citizen impression. The cop waddles across the street towards you, his sense of authority putting that extra spring in his step. You try to remain calm even as he puts his hand on his holster. Shit. You can't help but mouth the word. This is about to get messy. Suddenly he stops, as if instinctively realizing that he was just inches away from a grisly demise. He waves at you dismissively and yells in a thick Brooklyn accent. Hey! This is an active crime scene. Be on your way. That's my Brooklyn. Relieved, but trying not to show it, you put on your grumpy New Yorker face and start to walk away. As you make your way past a dark alleyway, someone grabs you by the arm and pulls you into the shadows. If the smell of cigars and cheap cologne don't give him away, the gravelly voice sure does.
Nice save. I mean, dumb to show your face around here in the first place. But still. Come on, I'm parked around the corner.
Before you know it, you're sitting in the passenger seat of a busted old sedan parked half a block away, giving you a nice view of the police gathering. Why don't I talk to them? I might convince them to let us in. He gives you a look as if you've just let rip a massive fart.
Right. Look, kid, it's not that I don't trust you, but how about we give that raw animal magnetism of yours a dry run, huh? Pretend I'm one of the cops guarding the entrance. Convince me to let you in.
Evening, officer, you may not have noticed, but I am in fact a vampire and have just used my unholy powers of persuasion on your feeble minds. Now why don't you piggies go grab yourself a donut and fuck off a while. Okay, thanks, bye.
Well, okay, I guess that might work.
See? Nothing to it.
Fair enough. Go get him, Tiger. I'll stay close by just in case, though.
You get out of the car, slamming the door a bit too loud for your own good. As you cross the street, you already feel like you made a big mistake. Oh well, too late to turn back now. Might as well give it your best shot. As you approach the cops, your whole body tenses up. It's funny that this would make you nervous, considering all you've seen these past few nights. And yet, it does. The two officers seem to be engaged in a heated debate regarding last night's Mets game. Go Mets! You stop just a few steps away and open your mouth. Whatever's about to come out, it better be good. And then, just as you're about to weasel your way into their unsuspecting minds, you freeze. One of the cops notices you and gives you a slight nod. Yeah, hey, if you're going in, make sure you stay away from 209. Active crime scene, you know? And with that, they get back to arguing about whether or not the umpire was bought and paid for or not. Utterly confused, you piece together what's left of your senses and hurry past them. Inside the building, D'Angelo stands in the hallway, dumbfounded. As you open your mouth, he stops with a gesture.
Don't even talk to me right now.
In awkward silence, you both make your way up to the second floor. Finding the crime scene proves easy enough. You just follow the yellow police tape, and before you know it, you're standing in the middle of what used to be someone's living room. The place has been completely trashed. Knocked over furniture, shattered glass, the works. Looking around, you notice a sign scribbled on a nearby wall. It reads, "His gift, our fate." You're no expert in typography, but the crooked letters look similar to the one you saw back in Red Hook. Sure enough, there's very little in terms of blood, save for the occasional stain that's bound to end up on the carpet once you toss someone through a glass coffee table. D'Angelo leans against the doorway. He seems lost in thought, sucking on his cigar, compulsively and murmuring to himself. You lean over a bit, trying not to make it obvious that you're listening. You manage to catch the last few lines of his monologue.
The night's been kind to them so far, but the questions keep piling on, and now they found themselves amid the wreckage of another life. It was up to them to sift through the debris and come up with a neat little pile of answers.
Well, at least we're included in the monologue now. Suddenly he tenses up, as if sensing your eyes on him.
Feel free to chip in, kid. Anything catch your eye?
No blood, same as before.
At least none spilled. So what does that tell us?
Might be the kindred we're after.
Might doesn't make right. Let's not make assumptions until we see the body. Still, the pattern's consistent. God damn it, I hate where this is going.
Which is?
Me being right about thin blood involvement. Anyway, looks like we're not getting any more out of this place. No way around it. We gotta see the body.
Are you protecting Thin Bloods?
Look, kid, the dustborn of shitty luck as it is. If I'm going to accuse one of them of breaching the Masquerade, the least I can do is some goddamn due diligence.
He shoots you a scornful look.
Like a goddamn detective would.
He mumbles to himself for a short while, but ultimately regains his composure and his train of thought.
Lucky for you, I might know someone who could get us an audience with our dearly departed.
To your surprise, he pulls out a cell phone. A busted old clamshell. He flips it open and spends a good minute browsing through the contacts, muttering to himself. Finally, he makes a call.
Hey, you know who this is? Yeah, that favor you owe me? Time to deliver. Listen, I know you got a fresh one. The murder in Bed-Stuy. I need to take a look. Yes, now. Yeah, you'd better.
With that, he hangs up and gives you his trademark wiry smile. Aren't cell phones forbidden?
Only if you tell them. Look, kid, I don't use it willy-nilly, alright? It's for special occasions. You don't always have time to throw fucking rocks at windows. Can you live with that, or should I worry about being sent to the principal's office?
I'm not gonna rat on you, D. He shoots you a smile. For some reason, it seems less crooked than usual.
Good to know, kid. Anyway, looks like my guy's gonna come through. Next stop, Kings County.
Kings County, the bleeding heart of Brooklyn. It's beating as hard as ever, with ambulances after ambulance bringing in sick and wounded New Yorkers to be pumped right through the tight arteries of the healthcare system. It's a dangerous place for a kindred to show their face, incessantly crowded and full of people who specialize in noticing all sorts of physical afflictions, especially the sort that makes up to the very essence of a vampire existence. For instance, death. Thankfully, your business here tonight keeps you away from them. The hectic human hive that is the ER. Ah! Whoops. Instead, you follow D'Angelo to a relatively quiet part of the underground parking lot that's close to your current point of interest, the Kings County morgue. Having found yourself a convenient and suitably unlit spot near the hospital wall, you wait patiently for D'Angelo's contact to appear. Every now and then, you glance over at the undead gumshoe, as if to make sure his mouldy mug isn't showing any sign of worry. It isn't, or at least he's very good at hiding it. Finally, after 30 minutes or so, a lone figure emerges from a side entrance. As the human-shaped shadow walks by, you're quick to recognize him as the EMT you saw back at the murder site. Clearly nervous, the 20-something-year-old redhead can't seem to help but look back and make sure no one's following him. Finally, he stops and lights up a cigarette. Without even looking in your direction, he takes a puff and exclaims, seemingly to no one in particular, "Room 112. You have 20 minutes." D'Angelo speaks without looking at you.
That's our cue.
You follow the fanged detective through the same door the EMT walked out of. Luckily, this wing of the hospital seems unusually empty. Still, the confidence with which D'Angelo makes his way through the white and green corridors makes it clear. He's been here before. Finally, he stops in front of one of the doors, room 112. That's your stop. The room is small with only one oversized freezer by the wall, and a single slab mounted in its center. Sure enough, the body of a middle-aged man is splayed out on its steel surface. Even for a dead man, he seems unnaturally pale. Extreme blood loss would do that to you. Try as you might, you can't help but look at the man's face, his features twisted in abject horror. This was not a peaceful death. Looking closely, you notice 2 small puncture wounds on the victim's neck. If ever there was a clearer sign of vampire attacks, you're yet to see it. Looking over at D'Angelo, you notice his lips moving in a familiar fashion. He's narrating again. Before he can utter an intelligible word, you cut him with a remark. Suck dry, just like the last one.
Yeah, I'm guessing you noticed the teeth marks.
He points at the 2 barely visible marks on the victim's neck.
Dead giveaway. Fuck.
As if on cue, the door swings open. A tired-looking man with a stethoscope around his neck walks in. With his eyes fixed on a clipboard, he doesn't seem to notice you. Yet. Just as you open your mouth, desperately trying to come up with an excuse as to why you're here, D'Angelo turns into a blur of shadows and flannel. Next thing you know, he's hovering over the doctor's limp body. The gulping sound you hear confirms your suspicion. He took the opportunity to feed. Once he's done, he turns his crooked mud towards you, his stumpy fangs still dripping with blood. His smile is red and very unnerving.
What can I say, kid? Sometimes you just gotta go with your gut. Oh, come on, let's get out of here. Time to pay our dear Primogen another visit.
Robert Larson's home looks about the same as last time. No added security, no angry dogs prowling the yard. It appears that the thin blood Primogen would rather risk another visit from his old pal D'Angelo than to arouse suspicion of his family and neighbours. Which is good, considering that's what he's about to get. Sure enough, the light in Larson's study is on, and you even catch a glimpse of the man himself shuffling around the room. You look over to D'Angelo, wondering how you're going to get Larson's attention this time. Without a single word, D'Angelo walks to a nearby street lamp and leans against it, making sure he's visible to any and all who happen to look. Looks like time for subtlety is over. It only takes a couple minutes for Larson to take notice. You see him lean against the window and storm out the room. In mere seconds, he's out in the front and in D'Angelo's face. "Listen to me, you mouldy fuck. I've just had about enough of your shit. You want to pester me? Fine, but leave my family out of it." For a moment, D'Angelo just stands there, motionless, allowing Larson to get his frustrations out. Suddenly, he grabs the thin blood by the collar, lifts him off the ground, and smashes his back against the lamppost.
Are you finished? All right. Now you listen to me and you listen good. You think I'm enjoying this? You think I like to be jerked around? You think I got nothing better to do than hang around this little puppet theater you've made for yourself? Now either you give me a lead I can follow, or I'll start remembering things you'd rather forget.
For the first time since you met him, Larson looks speechless, his eyes wide with fear. He can only mutter under his breath, "You wouldn't dare."
Try me.
Cue awkward silence. You stand there, shifting your eyes from one vampire to the other. Guess it's time to either press the advantage or play the good cop. Take it easy, D'Angelo. Let's not make a scene.
Why not? I like making a scene. It's not like we're getting shit done. Might as well make a show of it.
If you want my help, put me the fuck down. With his feet back on the ground, Larson straightens his collar in a faint attempt to preserve some shred of dignity. There's a place in Manhattan, Lower East Side, one of the few places in the city where my people can find shelter.
Yeah, I know it.
If you go there right now, you might find what you're looking for. D'Angelo stares at him for a moment, just long enough to make it uncomfortable.
We'd better.
Finally, D'Angelo loosens his grip. You both watch Larson limp back to his house, looking back over his shoulder, like he's going to tell teacher on you. You look to your partner, meaning to ask the whole things you'd rather forget deal was. As if sensing your curiosity, D'Angelo cuts in with a preemptive mutter.
Come on, we got what we came for.
As you reach the address Larson gave you, you find yourself standing in front of what looks like an old garage. On the outside, the place looks as uninteresting as it gets. You'd think it's abandoned, if not for the few barely working lights illuminating its shabby facade. They really like facade in this game, have you noticed that? They say the word facade a lot. Once you're inside, however, if ever there was a place worth being called a wretched hive of scum and villainy, this is probably it. The room is littered with drunks and crackheads, humans and thin bloods alike, their minds lost in the cruel little worlds, their bodies splayed out across the floor. D'Angelo leans over and whispers in your ear.
I'll cover the back door. You stay near the front. Let's look around and see what we can find.
Before you can ask what exactly you're supposed to be looking for, D'Angelo disappears into the shadows. Doing your best to blend in with the crowd, which is fairly difficult considering your upright position, you slowly make your way across the large room. Not really knowing what you're looking for, you focus on the details, a knowing smirk, a hateful stare, anything that might leave you even the tiniest bit suspicious. Enjoy your luck, Chorus. After a dozen or so empty stares, you're almost ready to give up when suddenly something catches your eye. A young, skinny woman hunched in the corner of the room. She gives you a bewildered look, a 1,000-yard stare that tells you beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's her. As you walk towards her, D'Angelo emerges from the shadows next to you.
Nice catch.
He kneels down beside her. You can tell he's trying to sound comforting as possible, but with his gravelly timbre, it's not really working.
Hey, it's okay. We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk.
No, don't talk. Too loud, too loud. She seems halfway out of it. It's like the lights are on, but whoever's inside is stumbling around after one hell of a bender.
All right, you like quiet. Got it. Can you tell me your name?
Sana. That's what you called me. Suddenly you hear the door swing open behind you. Even through the night, though the night is fairly warm, a cold chill runs down your spine. You look towards the entrance. There's a woman there, and something about her just screams kindred. Even though she seems comically overdressed for the situation, somehow you don't feel like cracking a smile. Whoever she is, you can tell she means business. She starts making her way to the back of the room, not making any effort to sidestep the junkies and the drunks. They all know too well to get out of her way. Acting out of bravery or sheer stupidity, you walk up to her. She looks at you as if you were something that she just scraped off her shoe. You smile nervously without even knowing it. Hello there. Hello there. And who might you be? As soon as you open your mouth, her hand shoots out, grabbing you by the throat. The woman looks at you, tilting her head as if examining a curious species of insect. Suddenly, her eyes shift as she notices something behind you. Her face turns from disgusted curiosity to sheer annoyance.
You. Hey, Val. That's my assistant you got there. Do you mind?
She rolls her eyes. You feel the grip on your neck loosen and you awkwardly fall to your feet. She makes her way towards D'Angelo, pushing you aside like a rag doll.
Where is she? You're gonna have to be a bit more specific, darling.
Don't play coy, Ginny. The manslayer. I know she's here. A blood hunt has begun. By order of the prince herself, the girl is to meet her final death.
Hold your horses, honey. I'm conducting an investigation under the auspices of the sheriff. That counts for something, too.
Look, sweetie, I'm not here for for some clip measuring contest. You want this to get ugly? Be my guest. Otherwise, I suggest you step aside and let me do my job.
By all means.
He steps aside in a comically exaggerated fashion. You look at the corner where you last saw Sana, but find no trace of the girl.
Well, I could swear she was just here.
Valerie looks at D'Angelo. She smiles softly, but you can tell she's trying very hard not to rip his head off. You'll regret this.
Story of my life.
Without another word, she turns on her heels and storms out. D'Angelo waves his hand in your general direction.
Come on, kid. Let's get out of this shithole.
As you emerge from said shithole, you feel the cold night's breeze caress your face. It's soothing and almost makes you forget how shitty the last few hours have been. Almost.
Okay, kid. I know you've got questions, but it's getting early and I don't have a Q&A. Feel like having a Q&A session right now.
For now, you got one question. Make it count. What do we do now?
Well, the good news is, we know who we're looking for. The bad news is, Valerie knows as well. She's a scourge, kid. Part enforcer, part assassin. All around pain in the ass. We'll be seeing more of her. You can bet on that. And before you ask, yes, we've run into each other in the past. No, I don't feel like talking about it. Alright, kid. I don't know about you, but I'm turning in. I'll figure some stuff out and keep looking for our girl. Feel free to swing by the office in a night or two.
And with that, he stumbles off into the distance, not even bothering to keep to the shadows. Can't say you blame him. It really has been a rough night. Knock knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling? You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nonetheless. Excellent. Stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked out nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rearview mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. All the things you wanted to say to Jessica keep running through your head. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I've said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't say I didn't even warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the Masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Don't treat it as the last time you two will ever meet. Take this chance. Do treat it as the last time you will ever meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You found yourself at a crossroads, decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway's unbearable. The rent's too high. They've heard it all. You're ready to leave New York for good when you heard those absurd rumors about you taking your own life, so you've decided to set the record straight. He gives you a knowing look. And close the curtains on that relationship, once and for all. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but don't try to force you into gratuity. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratuity by saying it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see you worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It's a familiar place. It's that club. The one you met your future sire in while trying to forget about Jess. This is where they last saw poor Skye. Who knows whatever might have happened to him. One Jessica Lowell is trying to find out. She got a tip from an anonymous source saying that you might appear here tonight. Wouldn't want to disappoint the lady, would you? She's apparently quite distraught. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the club. Last time you were headed this way, you still had a pulse. It feels almost nostalgic. The party's getting started and some rookie DJs trying to read the crowd. You begin to look for Jess. You wonder what the first thing you should say to her is. You really took me for the suicide type? Yeah, that should work. The music is pulsing, and there are good vibes in the air. You spot a girl hurrying to the bathroom with a nosebleed. The smell is faint, but it gets you in the mood to have some fun. However, Kadir indicates that he's got a pair of eyes around here somewhere. Better stick to the plan. A stupid idea pops into your head. If you meet her and she says, I want to be with you again, what would you do? What's done is done. Best not to dwell on it. By now it feels like you've explored all the places Jess could have been. It's getting frustrating. You grab the cheapest drink they have from the bar. A tall blonde in a stylish skirt smiles at you from behind heart-shaped glasses. You smile back, but this is no time for the heart to guide the hand. You walk past her, back to your duty. You mimic taking a sip from your drink. God, you could have been having so much fun tonight. You could. Accidentally stumble into Jessica when you least expect it. She looks at you as if she's seen a ghost. You freeze up, trying to come up with something to say and failing. The last few years of your life flash before your eyes. Wait, what was the line you decided to open the conversation with? Before you remember, a powerful slap takes you out of your stupor. You stupid motherfucker. Guess she gets the first line. You realise you spilled your drink all over your clothes. I've been so worried. I've been so fucking worried. Called everyone I knew to look for you and you're just having fun clubbing? You thought it'd be funny to drop all contact with anyone? Pretend something happened to you? What, you wanted to see my reaction? She slaps you again. You let some of the disassociation set in and just watch the situation as it unfolds. I'll let everyone know you're okay, but don't you ever show yourself in front of me again. She turns her back on you and disappears into the crowd, walking towards the exit. You look around. You notice the heart-shaped girl chuckling in the distance. You're no longer in the mood to party. Guess you'll follow Jessica's lead and leave. Better not keep the sheriff waiting. Well, at the very least you can say this. She still cares. That's nice. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you have to say? You speak up without thinking. Yeah, she said she'll call off the search. Getting her to accept that it was over took some harsh words, but deep down, I think she knew it was time to say farewell once and for all. She's a little shaken up, but she'll live. You spot a playful spark in Kadir's eye. You took care of it like a man, did you? Very good. The people we knew in life have this tendency to briefly reappear in our unlives. One night, let's say 20 years from now, she might spot you on the street. You won't have aged a day from now, and even though she'll tell herself it can't be you, she'll be jealous. And if you look happy, she'll feel regret over what could have been. So for the sake of the night your paths cross once again, I hope you'll search for your own happiness. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Kadir a good, hard look. Thank you. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smoothens out for a moment. Then he takes on a serious and slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt he will go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now. The car starts to slow down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Kadir. Can't say you're fond of him, with what the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. Gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. And with that, guys, we're gonna call it a day. We're on to night 10 of Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Adric is freaking the fuck out with all the notifications he has to do, and my voice is shot for the night. So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. And I will see you again on Thursday with another Red Dead Redemption 2 stream. Hope you have a good time, everyone, and goodbye.